So, hi everyone. My name is Jamari Guerrero. I am the chair for the TCEP MSC this year. Welcome to our final two events of an amazing and informative 3-day conference. We started on Thursday and we're ending today. We've had a pretty great time meeting everyone and bouncing ideas off one another. I want to thank everyone from students to faculty to residents for joining us today on the program director panel and residency speed dating event to follow. The TCEP MSC has worked pretty hard in putting this together. We hope you'll be able to take home some information you can use while you apply to emergency medicine this year and beyond, whenever you apply. Just some logistics. You should have received an email from Blake Pritt, our project coordinator, regarding how the residency speed dating will occur. And we'll be going over that after the PD panel as well, just to get everyone on the same page. Towards the end of the PD panel, you'll also notice you'll be made a co-host. And that will allow you to move rooms during the breakout sessions starting around 3 p.m. is what we're aiming for. Otherwise, we hope you enjoy, and I'll pass it off to Lauren, our vice chair, who will introduce our moderators this afternoon. Lauren?
Thanks, Jamari. Thank you everyone for being here. So our first moderator is a Texas native. He attended UT Health San Antonio, then trained at Baylor Scott & White in Temple, Texas. He is the former clerkship director and is currently the Associate Dean of the Texas A&M College of Medicine's regional campus in Temple, Texas. We are happy to have Dr. Scott Wieters with us today. And joining Dr. Wieters moderating our PD panel is Dr. Hillary Fairbrother. Dr. Fairbrother attained both an MPH and an MD from Emory University, then trained at New York Methodist Hospital and currently serves as Vice Chair of Education at McGovern Medical School. We are very honored to have both of our moderators today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Fairbrother and Dr. Wieters to begin the PD panel.
All right, thanks, Lauren.
Hey, everybody. Just some housekeeping before we get going. We really want you to be able to see the faces of the people representing each program. And normally we love having everybody's video on, but for this part of the program, students, we're going to have you all turn your videos off. Program directors and program representatives, we're going to have you make sure your videos are on. And that way, hopefully, if you put people in like a gallery view, I like to call it the Super Brady Bunch view, you can see all of the program directors' faces at the same time. Does that sound like a good plan? All right. Scott, you wanna start us off?
Let's go through, and the format will be a lot of people have submitted questions beforehand, some really good questions, some very enlightening kind of topics to discuss. I think we got a lot of work to do tonight. So what we intend to do is kind of allow maybe one or two, sometimes maybe three if we have to, on some really deep questions to get some perspectives. I know each of you could talk extensively about a lot of these things. Some have very passionate opinions. And so we want to cover a lot of ground tonight. We've only got an hour. And so we're going to try to highlight each of our programs. So in some of the questions, we're going to have maybe one or two people ask. The other thing we might do is we're going to go through some rapid fire to kind of get your opinions on things. So this might be a 1 or 2 word, and I hope a lot of you have had an opportunity to look over the questions that we sent out for the common things. But right now, why don't we give the quick kind of 1-minute elevator speech on who you are and where you're from, and then we'll go ahead and jump into some of the rapid fire questions. So I'm just going to go in the order that I see people on Zoom. It might be different for others, but I apologize. Dr. Morris, you're right there. Trey, my good friend. I love you. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you again, Scott. So we are a new program in Texas at Texas Tech in Lubbock. We're new as an emergency medicine residency, but we've been training residents here at Texas Tech for a long, long time. Just took us a while to get the right pieces in place to start a new residency. We have our first class, which has been fantastic. Got a super great group that we matched. We're very happy to have them here. Our goal is to train physicians that are going to come out and practice in West Texas. Prior to this, there wasn't a residency program between I-35 and El Paso, and there's a lot of state in between there. And so we wanted to make sure that we were meeting the needs for emergency medicine in that area of the state, and that's why we're here.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Morris. Next, Dr. Klevinsky.
Hey guys, I'm Tori Klobinski. I'm one of the APDs here at Scott & White in Temple, Texas. Thank y'all for having me today. We're a 3-year program, and we take 14 residents a year, so we have 42 residents total. We were established in 1992, which makes us the second oldest program in Texas behind El Paso. We're located on Temple, Texas, which if any of you guys aren't sure where that is, that's right on I-35 between Austin and Dallas. So our catchment area is everywhere in between there. We have a catchment area of about 1 million people. We have 2 main hospitals here that we work out of, Temple Memorial and then McLean's Children's, just right across the street from each other. You don't have to travel very far. Between those two, our residents see about 103,000 patients a year. We're a very large academic center, but similar to what Dr. Morris said, we're really a community feel in our emergency department. We're just looking to train excellent, dependable emergency medicine doctors, and we like having a good time doing that.
Excellent. Okay, I think I've got Dr. Holmes next on my screen.
Hey everybody, I'm Katie Holmes. I'm the Clerkship Director at APD at John Peter Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. Couldn't be here. We actually had a residency event today that he is to represent our awesome program. Like I said, we're in Fort Worth. We like that it's a community vibe with high volume, high acuity at the same time. And yeah, I'm here to answer all your questions.
All right, thanks, Dr. Holmes. Dr. Berger, you're next.
Sorry, I have to unmute myself. We are Austin, Texas, UT Austin, and we've been around since 2012 when I started the program. Some of the elevator speech highlights would be that we think that you should be really well prepared. So we have a diverse set of clinical experiences. We're a multi-institutional training program where you spend the majority of your time at the level 1 trauma center, urban public trauma center, but also at the level 1 pediatric trauma center, private community hospital, because a lot of people go on and work in those facilities. So you should be able to decide if you want to work in that setting and be prepared, as well as a month and a third year in a rural site, which is a critical access hospital. Excellent education is our top priority. We have a 1-to-1 faculty to resident ratio, and we staff our faculty at 2.0 patients per hour. So you'll never be waiting in line to try to present or have the faculty have to cut down teaching points because it's too busy. We have level-specific didactic, so on our didactic days, you spend time with the other first years looking first-year stuff or second-year or third-year. Our educational facilities are amazing, including a 70-plus bed simulation center. And we would consider ourselves a strong leadership training program with good exposure and good mentorship and role modeling, especially in areas such as EMS, which is our newest fellowship that just got accredited. Our pediatric EM is our other fellowship, ED administration, public advocacy, research, ultrasound. And it's Austin, which is rated the #1 city to live in by U.S. News and World Report. It's a great city for young professionals like yourself. Elevator speech done.
Nice. All right, we're at the top floor. Dr. Wells, you're up to bat.
Hello, I'm Dr. Wells. Don't even try with my first name, it's Bulgarian. I am the program director for the oldest emergency medicine civilian program in Texas. I worked in some community ERs before that, and I've been the program APD since 2014 and PD since 2018. This is a very friendly city of El Paso. In spite of what you might figure out, it's actually quite safe for the size of the city. We have very unique pathology because we're walking distance from the border, so we get transfers from Mexico, transfers in quotation marks, pretty much on a daily basis. A very unique place to train in terms of pathology. We have 362 sunny days, and we are very wellness oriented, very outdoors enthusiasts, have a great time here. And we have a great ratio of faculty to residents. All our residents graduate bilingual because we have a very high percentage of Spanish-speaking population. And also the culture of the place is very welcoming. We have the friendliest and most grateful patients on earth. I think every little thing you do for these people, they're grateful for it. We don't see much fibromyalgia here, honestly. So it is all real pathology. And I think it's a great place to train because we have enough other residency programs to have support, but we don't have enough competition to steal away procedures from us. So very procedure heavily oriented place. So we'll be happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. We got Dr. Broder next in Corpus.
All right, excited to be here. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so my name's Michael Brodeur. I'm from Corpus Christi at the Emergency Medicine Residency Program. I'm not the PD, but I'm one of the core faculty. I've been here for 5 years, and I'm the curriculum director. So I organize and run our weekly didactic conferences. We have 12 residents per year. It's a 3-year program, and one of the unique things about us down in Corpus, we're down on the Gulf Coast. We got a big catchment area, and we are largely an unopposed residency. The only other residency program in the hospital is family medicine. So all our procedures are ours, and our residents come out incredibly clinically competent and procedurally competent.
All right, Dr. Van Meter, I think you have to bat.
Unmute myself as well. Hi, everybody. It's great to see some old faces. I'm at McGovern Med at UT Health, which is in Houston, Texas. The program formerly known as UT Houston. We got a nice sizable donation, and they changed everything on us. So with that said, we're a 3-year program. I've been here now for a decade, and it's an amazing shop, a true dual site, if I can use my words, program. Sort of one hub of it is university-based, busiest level 1 trauma center in the country, and that's in the TMC and the Texas Medical Center. And then the other half of that equation is LBJ, which is a county hospital. So I think we have a number of strengths that we can kind of get into, and all of us on this call do. Pediatric emergency medicine, ultrasound, quality assurance, and education. Obviously, I think we all pride ourselves on the education we can provide. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the latter half of this, and that's my minute elevator speech.
Awesome, thanks. Mike's one of my favorite recovering clerkship directors. We were clerkship directors for a long time together. That's awesome. And it reminds me, I mean, a lot of the people on the call are not program directors. There's APDs, there's clerkship directors, there's core faculty. And I just want to point out that there's a pretty good chance that some of these people will be the program director when you're a resident. I mean, it's hard to be a program director. I don't need these people to tell you that's a tough job. And so the average lifespan is like 5 to 7 years, and now I'll stop. But yeah, so this is very likely that you could be at the helm by one of these great leaders. So we get to see it all here tonight. All right, next, Dr. Jenks, you with us?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys putting this together. I'm the program director for the University of Houston's new emergency medicine program through HCA Kingwood. So we just got approved in April. I recruited my first group of residents that started July 1st. So it was a crazy spring trying to do all of that with COVID. But we're no rookie to virtual interviewing either. Thanks, Dr. Verger, for the applause. I appreciate it. I wish we had more opportunities to get together, all of the PDs. You know, to be honest, we're still figuring out what our strengths are, but I'm super proud of my residents and the great work that they're doing. We're obviously a community site that's very learner poor, meaning that we only have 13 EM residents and the rest is just faculty. We've got some very eager and excited to teach faculty that I've converted from community faculty to academic faculty. And they're learning their new job and doing a great job as well. If you don't know, Kingwood is Houston area. It's a suburb of Houston, northeast of there, about 30 minutes. We see about 1,000 patients a year. It's all there at Kingwood. We've got plenty of volume there at our hospital to teach our residents. So thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
All right, thanks again. Next, Dr. Kester.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Narani Kester, and I've been the program director for UT Health San Antonio Long School of Medicine for the last 29 days, taking over for the infamous Andy Muck that many of you knew very well. I'm excited to be here. I'm a former Air Force firefighter in Abilene, Texas, and retired Air Force ER physician, and excited to get to know you and tell you about the strengths of our program. We take 12 residents a year. We're founded in 2013, and we have a level 1 trauma center for adults, pediatrics, and burn center here in San Antonio. Additionally, we have resident and fellowship tracks in disaster, ultrasound, EMS, wilderness, global health. Wonderful things here going on. I'm also work as the director for the San Antonio Refugee Health Clinic, and my residents are so service oriented. I often see them there helping me out with that clinic. I'm super excited to get to know you, and we'll talk a little bit more in the future. Thank you.
Very good. Next, Dr. Tickner.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for convening all of these great minds in Texas emergency medicine. And hi, Shane. So Shane, actually, just quick story, was a member of the inaugural class at the Baylor College of Medicine, Emergency Medicine Residency. And we're extremely sad to have lost him to become the program. We're proud of him, but sad to have lost him in becoming the program director at Kingwood. So that promises, even though it's new, to be an outstanding place to train just by virtue of his leadership. So I'm going to shed a tear, Shane. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Sasha. I love you, man. Good seeing you.
So my name is Sasha Tickster. I'm the program director at Baylor College of Medicine. We are a 3-year emergency medicine program. We are in the good company of Dr. Van Meter and Dr. Jenks, and being one of 3 programs in Houston. We're also located in the Texas Medical Center. Our primary clinical site is Ben Taub Hospital, which is the flagship public hospital for Houston, and also the Level 1 Trauma Center. For those of you who don't know, there are only 2 Level 1 trauma centers in Houston. One is ours, the other is UT, which is right next door. We provide, we think, our residents with an incredibly rich clinical experience by virtue of the sites that they travel to train at. And those include, apart from Ben Taub, the Texas Children's Hospital for their pediatric experience and their pediatric ICU experience. They also travel to MD Anderson for a unique onc emergency medicine rotation. And they also go to the VA Medical Center, which is the largest VA actually in the country. That, in addition to a community site and actually a community adult site and a community sort of satellite of Texas Children's Hospital, where our residents do longitudinal pediatric shifts during their PGY 3-year, really sort of combine to provide a diverse and well-rounded clinical experience. If I were to describe our program in a little bit more depth, I would say the thing that we identify most with is being service-oriented and being the safety net hospital, and specifically Ben Taub, our primary clinical site, is a safety net hospital for Greater Houston. We take incredible pride in caring for the vulnerable and sort of marginalized patient population who have no other place to seek care. That's a big part of our core mission. It's one that we're extremely proud of, one that we celebrate, and one that is sort of resonates throughout our entire curriculum. So thank you.
Awesome. Welcome to the event today. And last but not least, we have Dr. Williams from Dallas.
Thanks, Scott. Great to see everybody. What a great turnout. Excited to meet many of you during a virtual interview season, so excited for that. A little bit about our program. We are a 3-year program here in Dallas, Texas. I'm the program director of UT Southwestern, if I didn't mention that. I took over as program director in October of 2019, so COVID feels just like normal part of the job for me. We're a very big program, 22 residents per year, so 66 total residents, and a 3-year program. Our training is all done primarily in 3 training sites: Parkland Hospital, which is the busiest single site ED in the entire country this past year. A county hospital, very busy. Another training site is Clements Hospital, which is a very specialized care, a very busy academic center, so LVADs and transplants, specialized cancer care. And then our 3rd training site is Children's Medical Center, which is all located right in our medical district, really within walking distance with one another. We have a huge diverse faculty with pretty much every representation in subspecialties in emergency medicine. A few of them I think we even made up, like forensic toxicology and tactical medicine. Yeah, so come see us. We're a big, busy program and can't wait to meet you guys.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. We've got a couple of things we're going to do next. All right. So the next part is going to be rapid fire. So we're going to use some hand signals. We're going to use some numbers and things like that. Thumbs up, thumbs down. So we're going to go through this, and Dr. Fairbrother and I will go ahead and we'll trade off questions, okay? So a lot's been talked about the E-slows, and everybody's nervous about, you know, if 1's good, 2's got to be better, 4's got to be amazing, and we know we can't do that with COVID. So as a show of fingers, how many E-slows are you expecting to have from the people that you match that you're like top 10? How many E-slows will they have in their package? Hold up number of fingers. What are you expecting? Okay, I just want to confirm that like everybody's got a number 1 up, okay?
Every
So
single one of these people just raised the one finger. They have to move it around if they have a virtual background because your finger disappears. Yeah, there you go.
I love it. I love it.
Zoom etiquette. All right, how about this one? Do you read and consider the personal statement? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up and then some honest meh.
I love it.
So this often comes up from students, and just to give you guys some relief, we want to know who you are, but there are a lot of candidates to get through. So at the end of the day, don't freak out too much about your personal statement. Just get something good down. All right. Scott.
Can I add something there? Just, you know, I read the first sentence, and if it's good, I keep going. So work on that first sentence.
Strong opening. All right, we're going to keep going here. And we'll go backwards in orders. Okay, so Dr. Williams up first. What is the one part of the ERAS packet that will gain the most stock in your opinion? And what's the part of the ERAS packet that will lose the most stock? So of all the packets, what will gain the most stock and lose the most stock as a section for this year with COVID?
Thanks, Scott. For me, I think the thing that's going to gain the most stock is those OSLOs. So normally in the past, if there was a letter of recommendation from a different service or non-EM letter, I really didn't take a lot of stock in that unless I knew the person personally. And then I used it. But otherwise, I didn't take much stock into it. This year, I think almost all the metrics in ARIS are going to be more important just because we're going to have limited data points on all applicants. So I think that you know, before OSLOs, I really didn't care about, but this year I will be taking into more consideration. So I think that's the one thing that went up in stock. And the thing that went down in stock, I really don't think anything. Nothing really went down in stock since we're going to be having a limited exposure to you guys, limited feedback from your clinical rotations. I'm really kind of taking everything in the application more to heart.
Okay, good expansion. Let's be rapid fire here. Dr. Tinkner, what do you think? Sorry about that.
So basically, we're going to cut you off if you go as long as Dr. Williams just went, so that we can hear from everybody. Dr. Tichter, you're next. What's going to gain? What's going to lose?
Oh, same question. Sorry. Yeah, for me, actually, I think I will probably pay a little more attention to the personal statement because of just the dearth of information. And if it'll give me a little bit of an insight and window into the candidate's personality and their motivations, I think that's helpful. And I agree. There, generally speaking, since the letters have been pared back, I think the stock of every other element of the application has probably risen in value.
Dr. Kester?
SLOs are more important. STEP scores are less important. It's been a challenge for students to take the STEP test. They've been canceled because of COVID.
Jinx, sorry.
It just keeps messing up your name, Shane. I think you should go after him.
You know, I prefer Shane anyway. So UP is going to be your home program, SLO for sure. In the past, it wasn't quite as important. And also the interview. No downs. I'm going to scrutinize applications more this year.
Question for you, Van Meter.
Oh, hold on, Van Meter. There you go.
Hold on. Sorry. It's an old man move. So I would second pretty much everything that's been said. I think that a lot of the objective stuff, grades, will probably be weighted a little bit more, although like many of the other people before me have said, we're going to be scrutinizing all of the scraps that we can get our hands on this year, because I think we're all in the same boat. We're sort of in a brave new world. So,
Dr. Wells.
I agree with the home SLO. Definitely is going to be up there, and I definitely would read more carefully the personal statements this year.
Berger.
Same thing. The home SLO is going to have more weight. I have encouraging my own students to get a second individual SLO from someone they did some more shifts with, so we can get a second perspective from the same home rotation. And I'm not going to change my weight that I put on scores and academics. They're, like I said last hour, good ER doc first, good person second, good academics third.
Good. Holmes, what about you?
I would definitely say that if you can personalize your personal statement even more to make it kind of like a letter of intent as to why you of intent. We have that for our VSAS applications in the past, and that helped a lot so that people kind of knew why they wanted to come to JPS or why they wanted to train in a county hospital. So that helped a lot. So more weight on that, definitely less on just generic YEM.
Dr. Klinsky, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. The OSLOs are going to gain a lot more weight this year, as will your one home slow. And I don't think anything loses weight. Fewer data points means everything counts a little bit more. So we'll be looking at everything pretty closely.
What about in West Texas, Dr. Morris? What do you say?
I think the dean's letter is probably going to gain the most because it's really the only other letter that purports to be objective. And so if things like your performance on other clerkships or the interpersonal things leak through in the dean's letter, that's the kind of thing I'm really going to be paying attention to. Everything else I think will not lose any weight.
All right. Do we think different in the Corpus Christi Bay?
No, I think it's the slow. It's higher stakes since we're only expecting one EM rotation. So, and then I also think each part of the application is going to weigh a little bit more as well.
All right, I think that was everyone. My next question is even tougher. So I'm going to kind of start in the middle and go outwards. In 3 words or less, what do you look for in a residency applicant? And I know you can do it, Dr. Berger, so I'm calling and picking on you first.
The most verbose person? Are you kidding me?
That's why it's going to be hard for you.
It's already, bro.
It's cool. You can do it. I know you can do it.
Hard work. That's going to be one word. Someone who's involved. Involved. Damn it. And someone who's not going to get into trouble.
Van Meter?
3 things.
I think gritty, emotionally, intellectually smart.
Ooh, Jenks.
Hardworking and nice.
Wells.
Ooh. Caring, teachable, hardworking.
Holmes.
Driven, resilient, and compassionate.
Kester.
Humble, adaptive, and brilliant.
Tichter.
Independent, hardworking, and humble.
Williams.
Driven, hardworking, and involved. Thanks for all the ideas that make me go last.
Klavinsky.
Hardworking, good people.
Morris.
Work ethic, collegiality, resilience.
Brodeur.
Strong work ethic.
Did I miss anybody? Since I went out of order. Awesome answers.
No, that is awesome, guys. You've just heard a thesaurus for your personal statement about your personal attributes. So latch on to some of those gold pieces that were thrown out in this crowd. Way to go. What is your favorite non-medical hobby or activity to do in your community in 1 word? Okay, Brodeur, why don't you go?
Go to the beach.
Morris.
Red Raider basketball.
Holmes.
Trinity Trails.
Berger.
Hiking and kayaking with my kids.
Nice. Jinx.
Sorry, that was me. Eat food.
Kester.
Outside.
Hopefully not with Dr. Muck on his farm, huh?
Been there, done that. So great place to go.
Williams.
Food. Eat.
Nice. Tickner.
Yeah, eat.
Wells.
Outdoors and live music.
Kovinsky.
The lakes.
Van Meter.
I'll fill out the Houston trifecta, eat.
Well said, well said.
I think we may have seen a correlation with the folks that said eating in some of the largest cities in Texas.
The reason I've gained 30 pounds since moving to Houston.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys. I think that closes our rapid fire section. So now what we're going to do, we're at 2:30. So now what we're going to do for the rest of our time is we have questions that are a little bit more detailed, and we're going to ask them of one of our panelists and then ask a second panelist to either you know, be a counterpoint or to add to that answer, and then we'll move on to the next question. So obviously this won't give you the complex diversity of answers, but it will hopefully give you a chance to hear answers to more of a higher volume of questions. I do want to address a little bit of an elephant in a room, and having done these kinds of panels for too many years now, frankly. There are always questions that come up about screening, and you have a step 1 cutoff, and you take IMGs, DOs, and things like that. We are going to steer clear of those questions. Dr. Wieters and I talked, and it's a little bit like asking someone how much they weigh or how old they are. And I would encourage you to look at the website and look at the residents that are at each of these programs, because I think some of those answers are apparent when you look at the makeup of their residency classes. And I know that that's a little bit elusive, but we are going to steer clear of those kinds of questions and focus on other questions for our panelists. So without further ado, because my Siri is taking over, the solidarity is happening. All right, so Dr. Williams, what are you the most proud of in your program? Softball, by the way. So
I think the thing that I'm most proud of in my program, I know maybe a cliche answer, is the people. We have a great group of residents, a great group of faculty with very diverse clinical interests inside of medicine and outside of medicine. I think right now we just hired a lot of new faculty, so I think we're almost at 100 clinical faculty with experts in everything from medical education, tactical medicine, simulation, ultrasound, basically all the fellowships you can get exposed to here at UT Southwestern. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with people.
Dr. Tichter, do you have a follow-up on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably all have a common answer in that regard. I'm most proud of the people too, and in particular, I'm most proud of the residents. We have an incredibly diverse group as well, both respect to interests as well as background, life experience, and in general. I'll say that our residency as a whole is 60% underrepresented minorities and 55% female. That's something that we're incredibly proud of. We think that it reflects the population that we take care of at Ben Taub, and we think it's critically important for a number of reasons, and most importantly, for patient care and good outcomes, that our workforce reflects the patient population that we care for. So that would be my answer.
Very good. Okay, next question. Dr. Kester and Dr. Jenks will ask you guys this. So how can a person demonstrate interest in your program, given that they can't do away rotations? You know, you don't want a phone call or a love letter sent to your house or a singing telegram, but how can there be a professional, appropriate input to say, hey, I'm interested in your program, I'm not throwing a dart at a dartboard?
So I like to have medical students email me. They're welcome to email me. I may not answer that email, but if they email me and let me know that they're interested in our program, then either me or one of our faculty can start a conversation about our program. You know, normally that resident may be able to rotate with us and spend some time with us. Also, I like to see what I do with several residents is we have a lot of service-oriented projects going on. Despite COVID, they're still going on, and it's really neat to see medical students engaged in those learning activities and get to know them on that level. Those are a couple things that you can do. I'll put my email in the chat, by the way.
I have to say, I don't read the emails. I get like 3, 4 a day, and I skim them, and it's really hard to tell who's genuinely interested. And to be honest, I have not figured this out yet. I've not been able to figure out like who actually is interested in Houston and Kingwood and being part of a new EM program. I think one thing that might help that I haven't seen is knowing somebody that I know, then I can have firsthand experience for the type of person that you are. Otherwise, it's all going to come down to the interview.
Yeah, and that's hard. This is one of the questions that I really was most interested in expanding. Does anybody, any other the hosts here have an idea that they wanted to share on how they feel it would be good for students to do this?
I am trying to set up some regular Q&A sessions, and I think that would be a good way to do that. And we are advertising those on our website, hopefully starting next week. I think that would be a great way for all of us to communicate and with the potential applicants, and also for them to learn more about us.
It looks like Katie shout it out.
I was just going to say, same to that. We've set up some meet and greets already with some EMIG groups, TCOM down the street, and some other meet and greets just to try to bring people in to ask pretty genuine questions. And we have faculty involved for like the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then we peace out and let the residents just get to know our culture and what we're about.
Excellent. If any other faculty have some of these online events where you are making yourself, your faculty, your residents available to find out more about your program, will you please put them and post the dates and times in the chat, or how a student would find out about that information. But students in general, I think a lot of programs are doing programs like this to help you learn more about them, because they know that this year we are limited, especially with the virtual interviews. Next question is for Dr. Van Meter and Dr. Berger. What is a pet peeve that you have on interview day?
Do I go first, or does Todd go first?
Mike, you can go first.
Arm wrestle.
Oh, well, you could rock, paper, scissors, zoom it out.
Oh, it work better.
This one's tough. I think if you're searching for words, or if you're not searching for words, that's the wrong description. But I think talking for talking's sake, you don't have to sort of ramble. Just give an honest answer. Don't try to be something you're not. That's a disservice to yourself, I think, first, because if they choose you and you end up matching a program that's not a great fit, that's problematic. If you've gotten 12 interviews, you're almost, unless you have a really rough time interviewing, you're gonna match. So I think just being yourself, and when it kind of is clear that you're searching for what I want, that gets a little old, a little fast, I guess.
Dr. Berger?
A few things. So one is know the program. So asking questions that are on the website tells me that you're not interested in my program, and that's a big put off. So I would say don't do that. And you're going to get asked, why are you interested in my program at every place you go? So have a good answer that's informed, even if you're sure that you're paying attention in your presentation that morning, and read the website the night before. Another pet peeve is when I ask why emergency medicine, this is not a good time to talk about the lifestyle. It's actually a terrible lifestyle, and talk about scheduling last hour, and it's insulting to imply that somehow I was interested in this because I'm lazy and I want an easy life. Shoot, I had a third one, but now I'm having a Rick Perry moment.
Do any of our other panelists, Rick Perry's had some great moments. Do any of our other panelists have any pet peeve that they feel like would be a really good thing to let students know not to do on interview day?
Don't be mean to the secretaries.
Good one.
Don't be late.
Oh, I heard don't be late. I like it. I mean, it's a whole new world, folks. It's a virtual interview. It's both exciting and also daunting, I think, for all of us.
All right, next question is going to Dr. Wells, Dr. Klevinsky. So this was a stressful year for a lot of people, programs with COVID. What have you done in your program to address wellness for the residents and your faculty to make sure that you have a culture you're taking care of people during these stressful times? Give us some examples.
We have wellness days roughly about every other month. So we continued with our wellness days, although we couldn't get together for those. We had a brief together session on WebEx, and then everybody had some individual wellness activities that they shared with the group. The other thing is that we talked to each other the whole time. And of course, the mere essence of emergency medicine as a specialty, we were the happiest residency in the whole university because we were actually there. We were together, the faculty were there, the residents were there, and everybody who learned any kind of new piece of useful information shared it. So we were in touch 24/7, and I think that's how we did really well with that. And I felt sorry for some other specialties. We were together.
Yeah, COVID really turned everything on its head, really just overnight, to be honest. A lot of ours started at least clinically making sure that everybody was safe. We worked really hard to ensure that we had PPE for everybody. We made sure that our consistency for our residents was very similar. It seemed like the guidelines were changing overnight. So we kind of kept the same, the same plan. You go in with an N95 or above into every patient room. And I think that took a lot of the guesswork out of it and just allowed our residents to take care of the patients. We're pretty lucky here. All of our residents are pretty much each other's friends. The town's pretty small, so they're all they have. So they are constantly together, kind of hanging out with each other. Our guys tend to play a lot of sports. We have residency volleyball teams and soccer teams, and we kind of already mentioned the lakes and the nearby hiking and so forth. We have way too many board game nights. We were in a similar standpoint where we were all around each other anyway, and so we were able to still continue to do a lot of the social events that we would do on a day-to-day activity as well.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, so here's a different type of question for, I think, we're Dr. Holmes and Dr. Morris. Where should a student's O-SLO come from, or who should a student's O-SLO come from? Dr. Holmes, you want to start us off?
It should come from anyone who would be able to truly understand what it would take to be amazing at the EM specialty. And I think someone who really knows you well. I think someone who had a really good candid conversation with you beforehand as to what you're passionate about with EM and understands what your goals are. A writer that is taking students, as long as they're from an academic, go to EM.
Dr. Morris?
So I definitely agree that it should be from someone that knows you the best. I think that we're looking for as much information as possible. And so a cursory, shadowed me in clinic one day is not going to get the job done. I would also like it to be from someone who is, I think, part of maybe a little bit more rapid turnover specialty rather than primary care, maybe ICU, surgery, something along those lines, that understands the importance of task switching, because that's one of the things that is really, really hard for us to get from the rest of your application. And that's why I think we depend on the eSLO so much to see how well are you going to be able to juggle multiple patients and handle interruptions, et cetera. So from a letter from someone in a similar environment, I think would carry more weight.
Excellent, Dr. Morris. Let's move on to the next question here. So COVID changed a lot of the ways we do conference and we teach and do simulation and get together and stuff like that, but it also allowed us to be more creative. So what's the one educational innovation or a creative way that your curriculum has changed as a result of COVID? So this goes to Dr. Brodeur, and then also we'll ask Dr. Williams to chime in.
All right, this is a good question for me because I'm the curriculum director, and so when COVID happened back in March and stuff started shutting down, we rapidly moved online with Zoom. And so we have adapted a lot of our small groups to Zoom sessions. Basically, our conferences run through Zoom. That is obviously not as ideal as meeting together in a group. And however, we have fun with it. And something we have done when we try to do a lot of simulation cases normally during normal conference, and that's just not very amenable for Zoom. So something we had tried was actually doing telemedicine simulation cases, and that actually went really well and was a pretty big hit.
Cool, Dr. Williams?
I think that conference is probably the biggest innovation or modification we had to make secondary to COVID. Before we had conference on Thursday mornings, and it was hard to get residents to come to conference and to make their conference attendance. Emergency medicine is shift work, so coordinating that can sometimes be an effort. So Zoom has been great. I think that allows us access to everybody for a better scheduling. So our attendance at our conference has been higher than it ever has. One thing that we did with our conference is also we've done gamification. So we did a Kahoot session and competed against McGovern. That was a lot of fun and had a lot of interaction with the residents. A lot of small groups, like was mentioned, with breakout sessions. And then some combined conferences have been pretty successful, inviting program directors from different specialties. It gets a lot of residents on the camera for kind of hot topics and issues related to some of our consultants.
Awesome. Dr. Tichter and Dr. Kester, for you, why should a student choose to complete a residency in Texas as opposed to any other state?
Do I go first?
Sure.
Well, I actually am not familiar with Texas at large, so I'll speak specifically about Houston. Houston is the fourth largest city, as for those of you who may already know this, the fourth largest city in the United States, but it's also the most diverse city in the United States. So we offer exposure to, innumerable cultures and backgrounds, and you can take advantage of those. The three of us on the call from Houston already spoke about the culinary scene, but that eating is not all there is to do in Houston. There are lots of other ways to take advantage and expose yourself to the diversity that is the city. In addition, there is arts, there are museums, there's lots of green space, and the one thing coming from New York originally that I really appreciate are the winters.
Dr. Kester, why should they train in Texas?
I think our patient population are really sicker than any other place. I worked in California, in North Carolina, in the community in those places. And when I come to Texas, I find a very vulnerable patient population that may not have insurance, that don't have that preventative care. So when they come in very sick. And you're going to get a great education at any one of our programs. I guarantee you that. Because there are so many people that just don't get that care, so they come in sick. So a lot of problems, we have problems with diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, and all that adds up to acute MIs, strokes, and many, many things. So I think it's just the clinical patients, the critical care, and the vulnerable patient population. And you can make a difference. If you have a patient who's like that, who doesn't have insurance, just showing compassion and respect to that patient will make their day. So come to San Antonio.
Awesome. This next question goes out to Dr. Morris and Dr. Klevitsky. So you guys mentor tons of students, residents, those kind of things, but what is the one unique piece of advice that didn't apply last year that applies to this next application year that you like to give students? What do you think it's important for them to know? What's unique? Dr. Morris?
Wow, that's a really good question, because I think the advice is to be yourself, but to be more of yourself, if that makes sense. Because I think that a lot of what we're relying on when we're looking at applicants is the nonverbal, the subtle cues we pick up from the interview day interactions. And it's going to be very, very difficult for us to know that. I think that letting your personality shine through, not being as guarded during the interview, is going to be actually important to make sure that you're winding up at a place that's a good fit for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think the hardest thing this year for the students is going to be finding a place that they fit. Usually you can get a pretty good feel for that on interview day, but it's going to be harder with it all being virtually. My advice would be to talk to as many people as you possibly can from programs that you're interested in, not just on interview day, but if they're having these Q&A sessions or what have you beforehand, just try to talk to as many of the faculty, as many of the residents, anybody you can get your hands on, just to try to get a good feel for the fit, so you can determine if it's a place where you'll be happy for the next 3 years. As a very minor sidestep for that, just ahead of time, check out your interview environment. You know, take a look at what things are going to look like on your screen. Make sure that your internet connection is good. Look at what your background is. Check out your lighting. I think all of those things are unfortunately going to be fairly important this year that we obviously haven't had to deal with before.
All right. We have two last questions. So Dr. Holmes and Dr. Brodeur. And I want to make sure that we cycle through everybody again. So let's also bring in Dr. Berger on this question super fast. For an MS3 who's trying to get EM experience in the time of COVID, because we do have some MS3s on this call, what would you tell them to do?
All right, so I would say come to events like this. I mean, these are going to be popping up all over the place. And already in the chat, somebody was talking about how there was an event just recently where there were like 18 programs and a single medical student. I mean, if you want to be, you know, star of the show, like show up to that. So just keep an eye out for events like this. I think the MSC here is saying that they keep a list, like a running list of events. Keep up to date with that, and that way you could probably get a lot more exposure this year through that than you normally would otherwise.
I'm not sure it's an option for, especially for students who don't have a home program, but I definitely recommend shadowing in the ED. In third years are trying to decide what they want to do for their careers, and there's nothing like experiential learning. So ask the PD or the corrections director if you can shadow on the weekends or at night when there aren't students around trying to get slows. And get that experience that way. If you don't have a home program, reach out to the neighboring EM residency program, and whatever's geographically close to you, and ask if you can come up for a weekend or at night or something like that. Try to get that experiential EM experience so that you can decide that if this is what you really want to do for a living. And while you're there, have those conversations with attendings I talked about in the last hour. Why did you choose this field? What do you love about it? What are the drawbacks?
Say start networking early. Everybody has a social media account now. Start reaching out to them through me. Look for unexpected emergency rooms that are maybe not used to having rotators, but would be happy to have with COVID. And so we've had some have allowed rotators, and at least that's an experience.
Awesome.
Let's see, our last question, maybe we'll start off with, I think Dr. Wells, Dr. Van Meter, and Dr. Jinks, if y'all are next. Okay. Here's a question for you guys. So, you know, given that it's difficult to kind of get together with people, we've had some trouble this year, what are ways that you've encouraged or allowed the residents to really bond at your program, given the physical barriers of distancing and such? What are some programs in place, policies, activities? What do you got?
During the orientation month, actually every year we have advanced wilderness life support, which used to be 3 days of camping and learning wilderness medicine, which we couldn't do this year. So we adapted it. We did it all here in El Paso. We followed the social distancing and cleanliness and all those procedures, and that was a great event and helped with the bonding. And also we started some of our actually conference sessions with following the whatever guidelines we have from the university in terms of numbers of people. And so we encouraged our residents to come and be together, and really it was amazing. Actually, they were so ready to get together again, and that worked quite well.
Mike, what did y'all do in Houston?
Yeah, no, so we've done a number of things. I think we had a quarantini happy hour, which was basically just a Zoom or a WebEx based get together. People shared, you know, talents, what was in their fridge, just fun stuff like that. We also did we have a family structure. Sort of, we break down the families into, you know, various classes and faculty. So you usually have about 8 to 10 people in each resident family. And we've sort of actually put that into conference as well. And so checking in on people, getting together. We have a family wellness challenge actually that we just are wrapping up at the end of August. basically setting goals together and encouraging each other. They don't have to be the same goal, but encouraging each other to meet those goals. Whether it's meditation, yoga, working out, eating more, eating less, we kind of sort through that together. So,
great idea. Shane, what about you?
I have to admit we cheat a little bit. We're only 12, so it's not that difficult for us. But we have been getting together to do some beach volleyball. One of our faculty members is super enthusiastic about beach volleyball and has a sweet court in their backyard. And then a weekly game night as well. All COVID friendly, of course.
Well, I can't thank all of you enough. This has been really wonderful to hear all of your opinions and to get all these questions answered for our students. I have one last question, and we're going to cycle through quickly through each program representative. And that last question is, what is one unique thing about your program that a student might not get from the website? And Dr. Brodeur, I'll start with you.
All right, we're unopposed, as I had mentioned before. So we only have a family medicine resident at our site. All of our procedures are ours. And when you call and talk with a consultant or hospitalist, it's not a fellow resident, it's a boarded specialist. And so with this, our residents develop a really strong clinical sense, and it's a huge strength.
And I apologize, I'm gonna have you each say the name of your program as you're answering this last question to also just further associate your program with your answer.
I'm at Corpus, right by the beach, down in South Texas.
Thank you. Dr. Morris.
So Texas Tech Lubbock, and I think the density of pathology here is really incredible. We have a catchment area larger than several states. One of our interns had 12 tubes the first couple of weeks. One intern was commenting how he has seen his third case of dextrocardia since he started a residency 6 weeks ago. There's just lots of really weird, random things that happen, some of which we borrow from Eastern New Mexico. But it's a really good density of pathology that our residents get to see.
Dr. Klovinsky.
Our residents run the place with the exception of Thursday morning conference when they have protected time. Every other patient that comes through the doors are seen by our patient, or they're seen by our residents. And so because of that, any decision that's made about the emergency department here revolves around how that's going to affect the residents. Our chair actually interviews every residency applicant that comes through. And so those are just very closely entwined. Our residents just take care of everybody that comes through. I'll also just make a secondary plug that we're the back-to-back reigning TCEP Olympic champions. Just as a little TCEP plug there. I feel like I can brag on that because I had absolutely nothing to do with that and I'm way too out of shape to have done it. So just a little TCEP plug there.
And your program, Dr. Klovinsky?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Texas A&M Baylor Scott and White.
Perfect. Dr. Holmes.
So John Peter Smith, Fort Worth, Texas. I would say something that's kind of hard to advertise online just because of sensitivity issues, how much compassion we have for patients. For not only me personally, but our entire program, we are going to be the second EM program in the country, secondary to Pittsburgh, starting a street medicine fellowship this year. And so this has just been very exciting to collaborate with the family practice program, community, you know, as a county hospital. So that's something we're really proud of.
Dr. Wells.
Texas Tech University, El Paso. The happiest question that I was getting during interviews in person was, how come your residents are so happy? And there is no way I can project this online easily. Happy residents who are actually entitled to speak their voice and who feel free to text me, call me, pop up in my office at any time, 24/7, and who feel free to make fun of me, tease me, and be friends with each other and with faculty. And that's very hard to portray on a website.
Dr. Berger.
I think the thing that doesn't come through on the website is how tight our residents are, how close they are as a family, how they take care of each other. They're friends for life. And I'm kind of sad that we're not going to have in-person pre-interview dinners where you really get to half the residency shows up. I don't know, I don't have shifts ever. You really get a feel for just how much of a family our residency is. We just attract amazing, wonderful people, and they create this great culture and propagate it each year. I hope that comes through on virtual happy hours, but certainly something we struggle to convey on any kind of website.
What's your program, Dr. Berger?
Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, Austin. I'm in UT Austin.
These guys are great at following directions, students.
Yes.
Can't you tell? Dr. Van Meter.
So I'm McGovern Med, and that's in Houston. I think all of us are smarting a bit at the fact that you can't meet our residents in person and walk around with them, ask them questions. I think a strength that won't necessarily come across online is the alignment that our department has with regard to education as the center hub. And that's where, from the top down, whether it's our chair, our vice chair, executive vice chair, et cetera, sort of putting resources behind us, whether it's an additional assistant program director or a med ed fellowship that was just started. That I think has a trickle down effect that is incredibly tangible for our residents, but not necessarily tangible for you through the website. So I just say the alignment that we have and the sort of centeredness on education.
Dr. Jenks.
Yeah, I can, so I'm here at HCA Kingwood, almost forgot. So I can offer you two things. One is myself, and the other is our clinical exposure. When you join our program, you become a member of my family. You're my child or my brother or my father for some of my residents, and I will care for you like none else. I will call you on my drives home. I want to see you often. I'm going to think about you when I wake up and think about you when I fall asleep, as creepy it is. And the other is clinical exposure. I've been so impressed with the volume and the sickness of the patients I've seen at HCA Kingwood. For instance, we push TPA more than 500 times a year, which is just been a really new experience for me and been an awesome clinical exposure for our residents. They all have tons of tubes, brand new first year residents, tons of intubations, tons of chest tubes, tons of central lines. So I'm proud of the exposure that they're getting.
Dr. Kester.
UT Health San Antonio Long School of Medicine, mad ultrasound skills. I mean, our residents will graduate, and I bet some of them are at the fellow equivalent, like having graduated from a fellowship. It's incredible, incredible ultrasound division.
Excellent. Dr. Tichter.
Hi, Baylor College of Medicine in Houston. Couple things. I think it's really hard to portray through a website exactly how cool our residents are. This is just an incredible group, and they are incredibly supportive of one another, especially during these trying times. And it's really, we take very seriously the notion of being our brothers and sisters keepers, and that's part of the culture of the residency program, and that's one of the crutches that we've used to help us sort of persevere throughout COVID. And then the other thing I would say would be the extent to which the program leadership collectively and the departmental leadership, frankly, take very seriously the input and feedback of the residents in determining directions that the program will take in the future.
And lastly, Dr. Williams.
So UT Southwestern here. I think that something that you're not going to get from our website is resources that UT Southwestern offers as an institution. So UT Southwestern is one of the biggest GME organizations. We have over 1,500 GME trainees here on campus. So access to everything that is UT Southwestern, including programs like HEAL, which is a leadership program that's ran by Dale Okorodudo. He nationally created a diversity program called Black Men in White Coats. Aside from that, we have some fantastic female leadership in our department. 3 of the top leadership in our department are all female, including our chair and 2 vice chairs. Excellent leaders, not only locally, but also nationally, with 2 previous SAEM presidents and 2 previous ACEP presidents.
Well, Dr. Wieters, you want to bring us home?
Yeah, guys, thanks so much. I mean, it's so good to see all of our friends again. This is a family. I mean, all of these clerkship directors, APDs, PDs, these are our people. We go to the meetings, we hang out, we have food, drink, we enjoy each other. And so thankful for your leadership, carrying the state of Texas. Guys, I mean, you've just seen the tip of the iceberg about the quality of programs these people have all built. I think there's strength in Texas. We want to thank the TCEP committee, all the students who put this together, and the leadership for organizing this event and taking time out of your busy weekends to, I think, showcase the strength we have in Texas. So on behalf of Dr. Fairbrother, thank you guys. Have a great afternoon and look forward to matching you.